Hey guys, Gage here, bringing you another By the Numbers video, a video series where we kind of deep dive into units and we take a look at their skills, their leadership, what teams they're good for, where they're good for, and kind of look at the gear choices and kind of deep dive into everything we can think of. So in this video, we're going to go over Lynn, the new overpowered unit that was added on July 26th. I believe, whatever, last patch. Um, so let's get started. Let's start off by going over Lynn's skills. Now, the kit between both versions of Lynn, the Wind Lynn and the Light Lynn, they have the exact same abilities, exact same leader abilities. The only difference is what elements their leadership ability really affects. So for Light Lynn, Fire, Light, and Shadow, and for Wind Lynn, it's Fire, Water, and Wind. So fire overlaps between both of them, but both of them will give critical strike increase by 14% and critical damage increase by 24%. Very strong leader ability, kind of slightly better than Horus's leadership ability. She just doesn't come with the crit buff, but kind of unnecessary. We'll see in a second. So basic attack, look at her basic attack here. Attacks an enemy with a dagger in each hand, dealing 130% physical attack damage at max skill level. Really strong scaling basic attack. One of the better ones. Skill number 2, Sticky Fingers. This is a really busy ability, so kind of let's go over it and break it down. So Lynn steals the target's action charge speed, reducing it by 60% for 3 turns, and increases her own. It says his own, but I'm pretty sure that's a girl. That's pretty sure. And increases her own by 65%. Also deals 155% of physical attack damage and increases target skill cooldown by 3. So, kind of taking it in sections, she's going to steal the action charge speed of the unit she hits. Which, so say they have 100 action charge speed, just for math's sake. She's going to steal 60 of it, leaving them with 40 action charge speed. And then she's going to increase her own by 65%. So if she has 100 action charge speed, she's going to increase it to 165. She's going to take her turns quicker and slow the enemy down to where they don't take as many turns. Also, it scales really good. It scales at 155% of physical attack. So it's going to hit pretty hard. Pretty hard. I think mine hits with this ability for about 14k. And increases the target skills cooldown by 3. Don't brush that last part off. That last part off is extremely good. As even in PvE, I know PvP it has its applications. Anytime you can increase the cooldowns of abilities, it's always great. But like in the Dark and Yang dungeon is a good example. I posted a video earlier about my new auto team for this, and this ability is why it's successful. It's not necessarily the fact that she hits hard with it. That's great. But when she uses this ability on the Dark and Yang, the last Dark and Yang, she's going to increase the cooldown of the Dark and Yang's trample by 3, keeping the melee from getting stunned. And if you're running 2, even better, because if it gets resisted, then the second one can come in with it as well. So this ability is probably one of the better ones she has. Skill number 3, Shadow Slice. Attacks an enemy with a lethal maneuver, dealing 210% physical attack. Holy cow. As physical damage and a percentage of critical damage as additional damage. Now, I don't know what percentage of the critical damage she's adding on to hers, but it is a lot. At 5-star level 1, she was hitting for 30k with this ability. Now at 6 stars, I've seen Lynn get as high as 60k without additional buffs. With additional buffs, she can hit even harder than that. So if you're running Harma or Monkey or anything like that, this ability is going to put up some big numbers. Also at max skill level, this cooldown gets reduced to 4, so she can use it every 4 turns. And now the object of big debate. Part of the reasons why Lynn is so strong, on top of those damage abilities, is her passive. So, there was some confusion when she was released about what the skill up of this affected. It says chance plus 30%. Turns out that it affects both. Lynn's critical strike chance is increased by 40% at max skill level and 100% chance to cloak herself in stealth with every attack. Now what that means is when she gets hit, she is going to stealth. It's not when she attacks. So if she's a target of any damage, whether it's AE or whatever it is, she is going to stealth herself when this is max skill level. The 40% crit chance, oh yeah, it is very easy to get her up to 100% crit chance. Very easy. Lynn's stats. Okay, so we jacked her up to 6 stars here. Let's take a look at them. So she is an assassin class. So she is going to be naturally fragile. Naturally fragile. She's going to dish out a lot of damage. At least that's my theory of what the assassin represents. So HP 3165 and physical attack of 1112. So compare this to what was considered the best single target DPS in the game previously was Dark Garrett. Because of his passive and everything, his passive is crit damage increase, and his stats, he had really good scaling abilities to match. So HP on her is 3165. Garrett's is actually 3615. So he has a little more hit points. He's going to live a little longer. Physical attack 1112. Garrett's is 983. So already you kind of see that Lynn has less hit points but more physical attack. So let's move on here. Defense 486. 486. Not too bad. Typical 5-star. Jump 310. Thank goodness. For instance, Josephine and all them have very low physical attack. Not physical attack. Jump. So they have a hard time scaling up, especially in the bow penetration dungeon right now. Lynn doesn't have that issue. She can get up there pretty quick. Attack range 1. Now that is her basic attack range. She does have a ranged ability. Her movement range is 5, which is really good because she needs to get in there real quick. When you couple her with Josephine, her movement range could pretty much effectively be 8. She can get almost all the way across the map because Josephine's AE ability increases the movement range of all allies by 3. Action charge speed is 238. Now this is the only thing that differs between most units of the same type, different elements. In this situation, this is exactly identical to the winds. They are both the exact same speed, both 238. So really, there is no difference whatsoever stat-wise on who you should pick for Lynn. The only thing you need to consider is element strengths and weaknesses and team synergy for which Lynn to pick. Critical strike chance, 15%. So remember, her passive is 40%. She has an innate 15%. That's 55% crit chance straight out the gate, even when she's not leader. Extremely strong. Crit damage increase, 25%. Innate crit damage, 25%. So this is automatically going to boost her third ability, the Shadow Strike, Shadow Slice, Shadow Slice. But moving on down, she does have a natural weakness to physical units. So she's going to take 25% more damage from physical units. So another Lynn, whatever Lynn attacks the other one first is going to win. She's going to get creamed by melee units. Magic damage, 0, so they're going to hit as hard as they hit. Dodge, 12, block, 12. This opens up the door for potential future stacking dodge. If that's something that you want to do, I would have to play around with it. I don't know if you think about it or not, but anyway, 0 on everything else. All right, so there we took a look at the stats. Let's jump over to gear and kind of see how this all plays out. All right, let's take a look at Lynn's gear now. So I've run some numbers here, and mine could actually go higher combat rating, but I'm opting more for straight damage, and I'll explain after we kind of talk about some of the gear choices. So first thing I thought about when I saw Lynn's abilities was Night Signet Rings will be OP, especially for her third ability. So physical attack increase rate 30%. You will want percentage with Lynn. Physical attack increase percentage, because the 30% for Lynn is actually an effective physical attack increase of 334. With flat stats, you only get 180. So 334, yes, percent attack. No matter what you choose to equip, you want percent physical attack. Critical damage increase by 30%. Her third ability scales with crit damage, and on top of her already high crit chance, crit damage is going to make her output the most damage possible. The only there's going to be other situations where you might want to drop a few, especially if you're planning on using her in the cruelty, proving grounds of cruelty, something. The one where they dodge, you might want to substitute accuracy rings in here, for the simple fact that she can only do damage if she hits the targets. So, but default build, Night Signet Rings are your best friend. As far as substats go, physical attack, great, HP. Now, effect accuracy, she will benefit a little bit from effect accuracy. She needs to be able to hit with her sticky fingers to reduce the action charge speed and everything. So if you have effect accuracy substats, they are not a waste at all. And of course, action charge speed is good for every unit. So ideally I wanted action charge speed subs to boost her 238 action charge speed to get her as close to 300 as possible. But unfortunately, I was unable to. Now, as far as accessory enchants go, you really only have two options: HP or dodge. Dodge is high risk, high reward. So you're taking the risk of whether you're going to get hit or not. You're kind of flipping a coin every turn that she's getting attacked. I'm not sure if she dodges, if she will go into stealth. I don't think she does. I'll have to go back and, watch some of the clips that I have of her. But to be safer, roll hit points. Hit points is a guaranteed survivability increase. Of course, you're still taking the damage, but on top of that, it lets her survive the hit and go into stealth guaranteed. If you can get the 1200 HP rolls, great. I've been unlucky. I've rolled anywhere. I think this is the highest one I got for it. Look at some of these others. I went straight Night Signet Rings. 871 there. Effect accuracy is always good. Effect accuracy here. I didn't get an HP yet on this. I'm farming now for it, but 4% dodge ain't terrible, especially coupled with her innate 12%. So she's up to 16% dodge right now without Josephine. Okay. As far as weapons, now this is where my build differs from a lot of people. When I first got her, I threw this dagger on her. I was like, oh yeah, 71% crit damage. She's going to hit so hard. That's awesome. She did when she crit. She had 69% crit, and every time I really needed her to crit on that third ability, she never did. So I changed my focus and tried to get her as close to 100% crit as possible. Now, what you will need to get her 100% crit chance if you choose to go that route. So she has a 15% innate. She has a 40% passive. Her leadership ability is 14%. So just with those, I'm thinking Labyrinth here, when you can't use a friend rep. So in Labyrinth, you'll need a 31% crit chance on a weapon to get her to 100%. Now, as you can tell with this, I'm at 27 with this weapon, so I'm 4% shy of 100% critting. That's perfectly fine with me. She does a little bit damage. She still does 30, 35k crit on that one ability instead of the 50k with the Ruin Dagger. So it's an even trade-off. She will do a little more damage if I can ever get another 18% here like I did on the Ruin Dagger. All in all, I'm pretty pleased with her performance with crit chance. Now, in other areas, you can actually get away with just a crit chance substat because if you can run a friend rep that has crit as well, like another Lynn, do double damage there with Lynn's powerfulness. You actually only need a 17% crit chance on your weapon, so you can actually get away with, I could actually get away without having the crit chance substat on this if I was running a friend rep, and she would be over 100%. In that case, I could recommend like running something like this, which has crit damage and just the crit chance main stat. Okay, so talking about crit chance there, let's talk about crit damage. Now, for crit damage, you're going to be able to get with just the gear here. Innate 25%, her leader gives 24%, and the 3 rings give 90% total, for a total of 139% crit damage. Again, I'm thinking Labyrinth, but if you add a friend rep on there, you're going to be able to boost that up to 163% crit damage alone. That's insane. With this other dagger, of course, I'm adding 71% on top of that. And yeah, she hit like a truck with that ability. Other options to build, there are these other accessories. Let's see if I can find them here. Is this it? Oh, I think it's these. Oh, it is those, but I don't have any. These them? Yep, these. So if your Lynn is dying way too fast and you need a little more survivability, try taking one of these Night Signet rings off and throwing this on there. So this maxes out at 30% hit points and 30% crit damage. So you're still keeping your crit damage increase, but instead of physical attack, you're gaining hit points. 30% hit points for Lynn is an effective 950 additional hit points just for this one accessory. This one is actually really good for, so if I needed one, I would actually use it. The action charge speed substat. Magic attack, meh. But the action charge speed substat boost, she has 238. So this was 54? 254 booster up a little more. Always look for action charge speed if you can for just about any unit. This one's actually probably a little bit better for her because it loses the magic attack and actually gets something a little useful. 44% HP is a low hit point roll, but still. And that's block damage reduction. Now she does have an innate block chance. So if for some reason that you're running, you want to run the Elven Perna Ring with dodge and let me see. I know I got one or two of them maybe. Yeah, these. If you're wanting to run these on her, if you run three, you're adding 24% dodge, 24% block. So that'll give her 36% dodge rate, 36, and then you can enchant 7% on each accessory. So it's 36, 57. You can get her up to 57% dodge just with rings and the enchant. You can get her into the 60s if you throw in the claw as well. Now she's sacrificing a lot of her damage, but you're adding a little more survivability to her. She will live longer. This would be useful maybe in PvP if you're running PvP. But keep in mind that Sparrow is a thing. And while you're putting in so much effort to get these rings and enchants for her, all they're having to do is throw a unit in there, and it cuts your dodge in half. So honestly, I built mine mostly for PvE content because I'm using her to farm the Dark and Yang, farm Accessory Enchants, farm go through the Labyrinth. She pretty much carried me from floor 80 to floor 90. I could have almost autoed it. She's extremely, extremely powerful. But I built mine glass cannon. But I run Aaron with her a lot. Okay. Yeah. Let's move on to team synergy here. All right, let's take a look and see who we can pair Lynn with. So I use Light Lynn. Wind just didn't work out for me. The reasons why I use Light Lynn are he has no elemental weakness. Wind Lynn will get one shot by fire units. It's just going to happen. So there's a few stages in the Labyrinth that you won't get through. What is it, 80 or 85, where they're all fire? Because Lynn is going to get just decimated if you're running Wind. Light just carried me right through it. Also, the Light leadership ability, Light, Shadow, Fire, hit all my major units. So I built early on a lot of fire units. Fire Garrett, Fire Kindle. I even have Fire Edgar and Fire Horus. Those are the ones I chose just because that's what I had at the time. So Light covers fire and didn't have an elemental weakness, so that's who I went with. With her, I run Fire Josephine, my favorite. Hi Josie, how are you? I run Light Aaron a lot with her. And then sometimes I run Kindle if needed. Basically, any unit that's going to benefit from her leadership ability, her crit. I run. Garrett has high crit chance. Kindle has high crit chance. I even tried Lilas. Lilas goes pretty well. It depends on what you're going to use her for. She is useful in the bow, Proving Grounds of Penetration. In that scenario, I would probably try running her with Arendelle. A good safe team. This is a good safe team. Arendelle, Kalito, Josephine, and Lynn could just carry you right through. Now, I know a lot of advanced players are like, but nothing. That was for just starting out. Personally, in that dungeon, I run Kalito or Arendelle, depends on who I feel like at the time. Garrett, Josephine, and Lynn now, with a Lynn friend rep. She just hits so hard. Caesar's traps are a thing, so if I get unlucky with Kalito, it might take longer than normal, but in that case, you run Arendelle because the Caesars can't trap through shield. Assault training, I run Lynn on Assault training stage 4 as part of my auto team. She can, on her third ability, she one-shots a gargoyle. Like, it comes up, one gargoyle is dead. So I actually run her and a friend rep, and they just, every 4 turns, they take out one of the gargoyles. She is also paired very well with Devnia Officer. Physical attack increase. What is it? 40% physical attack increase? Yep, 40% physical attack increase. She's just going to make her hit even harder. So you could, in that same instance, you could run Arendelle, Josephine, Lynn, and Debney Officer and get the goodness spread out across your team. Now in Labyrinth is a different story. Depending on the stage, it's the same thing, either Colito or Arendelle. But I'm throwing Aaron in there. I'm running Lynn lead, Josephine, Arendelle or Colito, and Aaron. Any of the meta units, really. I've seen her run a lot with Harma. My Harma's, the skill ups have went to everything except what I really wanted them to. I wanted them to go to the buff, so I don't really use Harma too much yet until I can get a few more skill ups. But Harma or Monkey here in Debney Officer's place for the Dark and Yang dungeon, I've seen it done. It's really good. Shadow Garrett, another good unit to run with her. Kindles all day long. Lilas, yeah. So your typical units you can run with her. Units I would not run, I wouldn't go mages. The reason why I say don't go mages is, yes, they still benefit from crit chance. The problem you run into is mages don't have an innate crit chance at all. So unless you have an amazing weapon on your mages, they're not going to really benefit a lot from crit rate. I mean, they're still going to benefit some. They will still crit some. It's going to happen. But the way I prefer to gear mages now, and shout out to Just Dark for showing me this, is action charge speed. Instead of stacking crit damage and crit chance on there, I'm looking for action charge speed because mages are slow as molasses. I mean, they are slow. So running, if you can get the Rue Prayer Ring, I think it is, with double action charge speed, the white stat and then one substat, that's the way. But anyway, this is a Lynn video, not a mage video. I'm just throwing in there. I don't really run my mages with Lynn just because they're fragile, they're slow, and they don't benefit from her leadership ability much. I also don't run Edgar with her because any situation to where he's useful, you need to run mages. I mean, as far as so far. All the physical attack ones, though, physical attack dungeons, I run Lynn now. Dark and Yang, check out my other video. But yeah, I believe that's it for Team Synergy here. Alright guys, thanks for watching. I know I kind of didn't really go over where to use her because the answer is everywhere you can. And I kind of went over it while I was talking about Team Synergy. So, appreciate y'all watching. If you liked the video, hit that thumbs up and subscribe for future comments. It really helps me out. You can also catch me on Twitch streaming, twitch.tv/Gage4 Gaming. You can also follow me on Twitter, and I have a page on Facebook you can like for that I post all my videos. So I try to spread out across any media that suits you the best. You can also join my Discord and ask questions at any time or hit me up on Twitter. All right. Thanks for watching, guys, and stay gaming.